Today I'm going to be replacing the rubber weather stripping that goes around here for the window track inside the door and along here in the top, because mine is all dry rotted out and it's broken and the windows bounce around it here. I'm also going to replace this rubber strip that keeps the window set into the regulator, because that is deteriorated as well, and I have those parts. So I'm gonna have to get this all taken apart. Pretty sure I'm gonna have to take the vent window out, because I need to get this one out as well, and that won't come out without it. So looks like I have to. Well, I gotta take this back off. Do yourself a favor, get one of these for removing your window cranks, because there's just a little pin back in here, and all it does is, as you can see, this just snaps into here. Normally, I put it in backwards last time. Normally this pin or this clip goes in like this, and you can put it back in there like that so you don't lose it. So when you put it on, it's going to snap on, but then when you go to take it off, that pin just goes in, or that opener goes in there. So we got that for later. All these parts off to the side, and this is a 7/16, so we're going to remove all these bolts. I'm going to balance this so if I take this last bolt out, it doesn't come off or fall. Still connected somewhere. I don't think it's on the back of this latch. I think that latch is all separate. Pretty, not the prettiest way, but it is done. So this wheel here is on a track that moves behind this, and that is already attached. It looks like it's spot welded on there. So we have to move it back so it will come off of that. And then that off so we can get that out of our way. There we go. There's your window regulator. This wheel down here is not moving very much, so I'm going to try and loosen that thing up, clean it up, and probably put some new grease in it. And then you've got the two tracks here. The window slides along. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to take all that rubber, the old rubber out of here, replace it with the new rubber, probably put some grease on here, get this thing working a little bit better. And it looks like I don't have to take the vent window out, which would be really awesome. Hopefully I don't have to. Okay, this is the window track I was talking about. The top rollers go in here. This rubber piece was in here, and the window sits in there. And as you can see, it's deteriorated into nothing. So that's all cleaned out. We've got our new rubber piece. Looks like I don't need that much. I would assume that the kit said it was for both doors, so I've got enough for both doors, but this looks double the size. So cut it a little bit extra long. We've got an extra one just in case I ruin it. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and get our window, try and get our window to sit back down in this thing. And one person is probably going to be a little difficult. So remember, this part is the one that's facing you, facing the inside. This is the outside of the door there. So when we put it in, we have to go like this so the curved side is towards us. And I'm going to try and space it out as best I can there. Try and get that thing to fit in there. So my idea with this is to help hold this on. I'm going to put some tape across the bottom, a couple pieces, like that. There we go. We're in. Put that someplace safe. Okay, so I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I'm going to get these wheels loosened up. As you can see, they don't even want to turn. Get those loosened up, maybe put some new grease in them, and then try and get this thing reinstalled. And then the other piece of rubber will go in next. All right, so I cleaned up my track a little bit to get all the dust and stuff out of there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray a little bit of adhesive on the rubber, let it get a little tacky, and line it up. And as you can see, here's my piece. This part, the holes in it, that's going to go in this back corner here. And then there's a pin, and you can see there's a hole right here that that's going to snap into to help hold it. Then over here you've got this little metal clip. I'm having a hard time trying to figure out where that's gonna go. There's a slot here that's similar, but I don't know what's gonna go in. No, so that one goes in there. This is gonna have to go like, it's like a corner piece. So maybe it just snaps in there somewhere, I'm not sure. And this is all gonna feed down here along this channel that goes all the way down. So we're protecting our window. So, gonna spray this with adhesive, gonna let it get tacky. So what I'll try and do is I'll get that pin snapped into that spot up there and try and get this corner in here and then feed the rest down. Try and get them to all snap into place. I'm going to feed this down in here, get it the way I want it. Alright, so it looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and slide this thing back in here. Lined up and put a bolt or two in here. I forgot to mention I've got the weather rubber pieces that are going to go in here and here. On the front side there's slots on the outside of the door that these are going to go just kind of snap down into, and this is kind of bendable, like there's a metal wire in there or band. So you can bend these up pretty good, so you need to try and be careful. The other ones, I've not done those before, but it's going to go in like this, and the hooks are pointing up. And there's, on the inside, there's just kind of a little cutout, little spot along there that I'm guessing these are all three of those tabs are going to snap into. So it's probably going to be easiest. Get the window in first. Get her all the way inside there, in between the track and the outside of the door, so I can go all the way down, and then hopefully this will work. Alright, so scratch that last one. What we've got is their door panel here, and actually it looks like I've got the wrong one, doesn't it? Nope, I got the right one. It's going to go onto the panel itself instead of onto the door, which was my mistake. So looks like it just clips and pulls down. Alright, so I've got back here trying to get this piece off, and it does not want to come off for anything because those three tabs are on it. So what I'm doing is I'm just grabbing these tabs and just peeling them back. Most of them are just breaking, but I'm peeling those tabs like backwards and out, hoping that this will come up, because I really don't feel, or I don't really want to replace this. I'm not trying to spend a couple $100 for new door panels. And as you can see, it's got these like 3 hooks that hook on there. So I was just bending them off until they finally come out. So that's there. We get the new one. Back down here. It looks like there's little plastic slots in here. Like there's these 2 here, and then there's 2 more like here and here. That's where those plastic clips are going to snap in between. Now they've got this weather stripping in. It's not in there quite the way I want it, but once the window gets rolled back up inside of there, that should be just fine. So let's get this. Got it into the back track. Now we do is get it into the front track. there's a slot in there, cut out in there so we can get that window where I want it, or in that track up there. So my battery died on the camera, so sorry about that part. I ended up getting the window regulator in, but I didn't get that part recorded, so sorry about that. My biggest challenge was getting the window regulator back in, getting this through here, all these bolt holes lined up, and then the wheels on the tracks. It probably would have been easier to take this out. I was trying to do it without. I made it work, but it was pretty difficult. So I had the window in, it was all the way down, or all the way up, sorry. It was all the way up like this. You can always put tape across here to help hold that up if yours isn't sticking. That new weather stripping is making it stick up there real nice. So, window was up, window regulator went in. The thing that I did was this track goes from like here to here, the top two rollers. There's one hole in the middle where you can get those in. And then you have this bottom one, which goes from about here to here to here, for the bottom roller. So I got the two top ones on, and then was able to manipulate it around enough that I could get this pin through the hole, because that gear that it cranks on is hitting this part where it comes down in here. So I had to get it on this side of it, and it was a little difficult. But once I got those two aligned, you can put the crank on here still, and you can crank this thing up and down, as you can see. Get that up and down until you can get this arm, it's kind of hard to see here, but that arm comes down and gets in that track, so you can get it to this edge right about there and feed it into that track that's there, and then it will stay. You kind of have to force it a little bit, but you're not bending or breaking anything. So once I got that on, put this in, lined up the holes, put my bolts back in, and everything works pretty good. It cranks up and down pretty tight because that weather stripping, but that's all right. That's what I want. So put some extra grease on those tracks to help keep the squeaks down and help it move a little bit better. I probably could have gotten a new regulator, but they're so dang expensive. Some of the places are out of stock, and this one works, so I'm gonna make it happen. So we got that. I've got my screws left. There's gonna be one here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. These can slide around, but you want them all the way pushed in. There's only one way they can go in. They gotta go in on an angle and slide in. So once we got that, now it's time for the panel to go back on, but this is gonna go on first, and then we're gonna go ahead and pop this clip in, so that way when I'm ready, all I gotta do is just snap it on. So I get that, and we put the new weather stripping along the front window scraper and the inside window scraper. Like I showed you before, I learned out the hard way, figured out the hard way, it goes on here. So when I do this, I try to keep the lock up, and I'm gonna have to reach in and get that handle fed through here, like that. Then you kind of almost have to bend this thing up, get that lock through the hole, and then kind of push in and kind of pull down a little bit. This is good. There, and that's exactly where you want it, because then you'll see it's in a nice spot, because this will be centered again, and you'll be right on top of those holes for the rest of your screws. So we got that. Put our screws in. Got that in there. Put the lock pin back on. And then the window crank, it's got this little plastic piece that goes on there, and then I've already figured out what you need to do is roll this window down all the way, which I need to do. Because I like to have the window in a position where when it's up all the way or down all the way, it's not going to be sticking forward like that and rubbing on my knee. So I like to put that just like this, put the pin back on there, whatever the heck you want to call that. And then this pin just snaps right back in the window crank. Just like that. So when you pop it on, those clips, the inner ends will snap on. So they put it in like this. There you go. Roll her up all the way. She's right there. Out of my way. And you don't have to take these screws out to take this armrest off. This one can stay with. So that might be the next thing, is to get into one of those. But that is it. That's how you change out the weather stripping on the window.